Michael Brady not holding back.
You hunt as a pack, you're responsible for the killing. In this case, you can pretty much call me pack leader.
Will jurors spare his life? She's taking on Big Navy, but top brass are clapping back at a local rep. The calls keep coming after some pretty homophobic comments. But Kenneth L. isn't giving in to pressure by LGBT groups.
I don't intend on quitting or resigning.
And a state race repeat on the peninsula. David Yancey defending his seat against Democratic challenger Shelley Simons again. That's our top story this Wednesday night. I'm Nicole Livas. It's David's turn to take a few days off. This local race made headlines across the country back in 2017. It was a tie. Not too close to call. Both sides got the exact same number of votes. You might remember the drama. After a lawsuit that went all the way to the state Supreme Court, the 94th district race was decided by drawing a name out of a bowl. Yeah, the low-tech solution to a high-stakes race left Yancey the winner. This year, the pair is back at it with an animated face-off on the campus of CNU. Madeline Schmidt starts us off.
It's no surprise.
I'm shocked that on stage that you would continue to attack our students the way that you have done in these mailers.
These two going head to head again after last election's tumultuous ending.
I'm not attacking schools. I'm not attacking children. I'm attacking you and your leadership, Shelley.
Things got heated. Political deja vu for Democrat Shelley Simons and Republican incumbent David Yancey, vying for Virginia's House of Delegates' 94th District, Newport News. During Wednesday night's debate at CNU, candidates spent a lot of time answering to attacks on the other, namely in education, healthcare, tax dollar spending, and women's health.
And the big one, of course, is the Equal Rights Amendment, which I broke with my party on to support.
Women in Newport News cannot trust my Republican opponent on this issue.
2017's tie has forced these candidates to really go after voters from the opposite party. Simons believes key issues will persuade those on the fence.
I think healthcare is enough to make it happen. I think people are really worried about prescription drug prices rocketing up, everyday costs of insurance. I think voters are very concerned and they want to see some change in Richmond.
Yancey believes his record will keep him in office.
And I think when you look at what I've been able to achieve, the experiences and the opportunities that I've been able to cultivate for our community, not just Newport News, but the peninsula, Hampton Roads, the Commonwealth. We're one of the best states to live in. We're one of the best states to have a business in, and our community is thriving.
Republicans had an increasing stronghold on the House since the 1999 election until the 2017 election. It came very close to flipping because of this race. It could come very close to flipping again with the exact same candidates. Election day is November 5th. In Newport News, Madeline Schmidt, 13 News Now.
Madeline, thank you. The bottom line here, all 100 seats in the House of Delegates are up for grabs. Republicans are fighting to keep the balance of power in their favor. And let Yancey and Simons' 2017 race be a lesson. Every vote counts. Since you got home from work, Norfolk police revealed more details in the story of a man accused of killing his brother. They tell us Larry Matruski was found dead inside a home on Military Highway this morning. At first, detectives classified it as an undetermined death. Hours later, they charged his brother, Sean Matruski, with murder. And that's all they're saying for now. We are still waiting to hear exactly what happened here. To the Outer Banks now, and a second day of testimony from the inmate convicted of killing 4 prison workers. Michael Brady laid out in graphic detail what happened in the days leading up to that violent attack. He even shared how he prepared for it in full view of corrections officers. When you watch this, keep in mind, this is a man trying to save his own life. Brady needs to convince a jury to spare him from the death penalty. Allie Weatherton takes you inside the courtroom.
Michael Brady is not holding anything back.
Mr. Longo said it best. He said, you hunt as a pack, you're responsible for the killing. In this case, you can pretty much call me pack leader.
On the stand Wednesday, Brady said he thought about calling off the whole attack because he didn't want to hurt Veronica Darden.
She was a great woman, and I'm not taking that away from her. And Jasmine, described it perfect. She was a very good woman.
But he went through his plan anyway with 3 other inmates.
I don't know exactly how I did it. I just know I was able to set it aside. I was able to set that fraction aside because ultimately she was on the other side.
The 4 inmates killed 4 prison workers. Brady, calm and casual, explained how they murdered them.
That I stabbed him 4 to 9 times, probably hit bone.
After the attacks, all 4 inmates made it to the prison yard, but several law enforcement officers had their guns drawn. Brady said one shot at him but missed. Officers arrested all 4 inmates. Now Brady faces life in prison or death.
I guarantee you I won't hurt no more. I don't want to hurt nobody no more. That's why I'm content with being in myself, by myself. I'm not around others. I'm not given that opportunity.
In Manio, Allie Weatherton, 13 News Now.
One last note on this. This story is far from over. 3 more inmates will be tried for their role in the attack. We're still waiting to hear when that will happen. We told you the Lincoln will be at sea a little while longer. The problem isn't there, it's here. The Norfolk-based Harry S. Truman can't take its spot. It cannot deploy because of electrical problems. It's part of a problem Congresswoman Elaine Luria brought up on Capitol Hill. She questioned top brass on Tuesday, questioning the timetable to fix 6 carriers sitting in Norfolk, none of them ready to deploy. One concern she mentioned, ongoing problems with the weapons elevators on the Ford.
Over the weekend, we certified our 3rd elevator, so that's turned over to the crew.
Right, but that only goes from the flight deck to the hangar bay. You're still not putting anything in or out of the magazines.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So we're on track for the upper elevators.
All right, you heard from James Gertz, that gentleman there. He says they are on track for elevator repair work, but the Secretary of the Navy isn't happy with the Congresswoman who herself served for 20 years. Today, he said not one of her comments offered a way to help. The Congresswoman also has something to say about those homophobic comments made by someone on the Human Rights Commission for Virginia Beach. Since you got home from work, Luria's team released this statement. She calls Kenneth L's comments abhorrent and regressive, adding, quote, "To the children of Hampton Roads forced this week to feel shame for who you love and how you identify, please know your Congresswoman stands with you." L is standing by the comments he made on Facebook, calling gays an abomination and mentally ill. He says the posts are his views and not the position of the Human Rights Commission. Here's what he told us today.
If you were offended by anything that I said, I assure you that I did not intend to. I'm just expressing my faith.
Well, that's not good enough for many of the region's LGBT groups. PFLAG, Hampton Roads Pride, Hampton Roads Business Outreach, and the LGBT Life Center all calling for him to be removed from the committee.
There's so many people who will be so hurt by this, and I hope that the commission recognizes that and takes action.
Well, if the commission was going to do that, they made no indication in their statement yesterday. They said L was speaking as an individual and not on behalf of the commission. Dana Smith is in the newsroom with today's 3 big stories.
Nicole, we got a behind-the-scenes look at the new Rosie's Gaming Emporium in Hampton. Inside 700 gaming machines, they look like slots, they feel like slots, but instead, this is historical horse racing. Basically, you're putting bets on old horse races. By the way, Rosie's opens next week at the Power Plant Entertainment District. To Norfolk now, get a parking ticket at ODU? Well, you can pay it off with peanut butter. The donations help fill some of the gaps at the campus food pantry. There's a catch though. If you choose to fight your ticket, you won't be able to pay with peanut butter. And that mesh meant to keep Corolla's wild horses out of front yards turned out to be a death trap for fish. That's what the Corolla Wild Horse Fund tells us. They say they're taking it down until they find a better solution. And all of that means the horses could be wandering the neighborhoods once again. Nicole?
Dana, thank you. Norfolk's big bet on casino gaming is getting a lot of attention, but it's not the type the City Hall is looking for. Yeah, the renderings, they're sleek. You see them, but some think City is going about this the wrong way. We told you about the push for a petition. They say no to the Norfolk Casino Group has until tomorrow to collect 4,000 signatures. That would force a referendum, leaving it up to you to decide if the city should sell some land next to Harbor Park to the Pamunkey tribe. We should know if they hit that number by tomorrow. Harbor Park isn't the only spot in Norfolk getting attention. Big changes could be on the way for downtown as we take a live look now. Dan Kennedy got a look at the Civic League's priorities for 2020.
The Downtown Norfolk Civic League is hoping to work with city government, police, and the Downtown Norfolk Council to pursue these changes pretty aggressively over the next year. First, they want to bring a grocery store. It's something we've talked about and told you about before, something people who live downtown say they desperately need, and the Civic League is listening. Next, they want to revive MacArthur Center. It seems like store after store after store has shut down over the last year or so, most notably the anchor store Nordstrom, which closed in April. So the Civic League wants to bring new life to the mall. Then these two go hand in hand. The league wants to make it easier for people who live downtown to walk and use wheelchairs to get around. They also want to improve the overall living experience. Finally, these two also go together. The Civic League wants to improve visibility and help people recognize who the league is and what they do. We'll keep you posted on their work to accomplish all these goals as we get into next year.
Thanks, Dan. Let's get to breaking news in Norfolk now. Someone found what fire rescue called a possible explosive device in an empty home on Peterson Street. They evacuated 40 homes as a precaution. It's a live look here. We talked to emergency dispatchers. They found the device is not a threat, and they are letting people back into their homes now. The Daybreak team is already here in the building working this story. Look for their updates starting at 4:30. And we're back in a little more than 2 minutes. Stay with us.